Disclaimer. This is a topic that goes way deep in the depth I'm diving into in this video. This video is not a breakdown of Atlanta gang politics. In this video, my plan is to take an overall look at Hunxho's life and legacy, commenting on what I feel could have led him into getting involved in street politics, and explaining how I feel Hunxho was the first artist out of the new wave Atlanta drill scene to get mainstream status, as well as him being one of the only people with viewership as high as him, his viewership being some of the highest in Atlanta in general, not just in the drill scene. Thanks. I hope you enjoy. I have COVID, so if my voice is a bit weird or off any time in this video, you know why. Ibrahim Muhammad Dodo, better known by his stage name, Hunxho, or just Cho for short, is a new wave Atlanta prodigy. Him arguably being one of the most successful artists to come out of the 2021 Atlanta drill boom, view-wise. Even though realistically, he began dropping music way earlier than most others in the scene, him starting in 2017. This is the story of Atlanta's new mainstream prodigy, Hunxho. Originally born in Greensboro, North Carolina, in the month of June 1999, a young Hunxho will be born to a Nigerian father and an African-American mother, and will be brought up in the faith of Islam, as most, if not all of his family lineage seems to be Muslim in belief. Hunxho seemingly is a devout believer to this day, as his oldest child still practices the faith, if I'm not mistaken. I'm getting a little ahead of myself though. At a relatively young age, Hunxho's parents would end up splitting up, leading to his father to be absent in most of his adolescent childhood. From there, his mother would wind up making the hard decision to move from Greensboro, North Carolina, all the way up to the Glenwood area of Eastside Atlanta, specifically around the 2nd Avenue area. Given the extensive amount of gang activity, drug shit, and criminal mischief that surrounds East Atlanta, and the lack of any true father figures early in life, Hunxho would begin to gravitate towards more criminal activity and behavior, especially when he began to make friends on the block and really start to jump off the porch. Add all this onto the fact that Hunxho was raised in a house with 5 siblings and his mother working with low wages. It would create a perfect storm to push Hunxho into the street life, with him going on to rep a sex, money, murder, blood subset 1008 clique that goes by TB or Trench Babies. They use the number 22 to signify their allegiance to the 2200 block, also known as 2nd Avenue, the place where he would grow up. Around this same time, Cho would begin to listen to the Atlanta music scenes that were popping up throughout the years, him never really getting the itch to try it for himself until years later, however. His mother would also do her best to guide Hunxho through life, but given his school history, it seems like she had the work cut out for her, as he'd be expelled from multiple schools around the Atlanta area. Some examples being Off Top, Bethune, Columbia, Stevenson, Creekside, and others, mostly for regular delinquent shit like skipping class, behavioral issues including fighting and disrespecting teachers, as well as smoking weed and doing other shit. Him admitting in a later interview that he'd often skip his first 2 classes and go smoke weed with his friends. This routine began when he was around 13 and wouldn't stop until bro was 17. Bro probably had a negative grade in his first 2 classes on me. This would actually be the main factor that would crush Hunxho's early hoop dreams early on. Yup, you heard me right. Hunxho originally wanted to be a basketball player, and given that bro is 6'8", he was basically fated to become a ball player at some point, willingly or not. Bro damn near don't even gotta jump to dunk. He can just stand on his tippy toes for real for real. All jokes aside, Hunxho would take sports pretty seriously until around 10th grade, when his attendance and his grades forced him to set aside his hoop dreams for more street-focused endeavors. One such endeavor being caught on camera, as Hunxho's tall, lanky ass was seen beating the brakes off of a local rat at the Hood Corner store. I have no context for this, but it's a fun watch. These endeavors wouldn't be all bad, mind you, as Hunxho would begin to gain a love for music as he hadn't had before, and he'd begin freestyling with friends as well as writing music as a way to vent out his experiences. Him going to a quote-unquote trap studio on Glenwood at the age of 16 for the first time. We don't have access to much of Hunxho's first songs, as they were either privated or scrubbed from the internet completely. The first official trace of Hunxho's existence musically would come with the release of the May 5th, 2017 track, LLB, or Long Live Benson, a tribute to a fallen friend. This first track would wind up having the same style and sound Hunxho has to this day, if not a little bit more unrefined. Given the fact that bro was 16 or 17 when he dropped this track, it's pretty impressive that he was already this smooth musically. This track is currently sitting at a nice 28,000 views on SoundCloud, though it most likely didn't reach that height at the time of his posting. From this point on, Hunxho would post one more song before he'd wind up in legal trouble. That song being the July 1st, 2017 track, About Money Freestyle. This being so early in his career that he even left to purchase this track today, tagging the beat, meaning it was a free beat. Regardless, this song would wind up going crazy. Hunxho arguably has been snapping with flows and how deep but melodic his vocals are since his very first track. This track is no different. Around the same time, at the age of 18, Hunxho would go on to have his first child, as well as be arrested for the first time and placed into DeKalb County. This luckily happening right as he twisted his dreads, so he was able to grow them out, as a plus side. We don't know exactly why he was arrested, but I assume it was over some petty shit, as he would be out come 2018. On April 22nd, 2018, Hunxho would go on to put out the highly underrated track, Last Song. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be his last song. This track would have a dark atmosphere, only cut through by Hunxho's silky, deep-ass voice. The flows that he used on this track were pretty great, almost directly leading this track to rack up 68,000 views on SoundCloud. After this track, Hunxho would go on to post 3 to 4 more singles to mark the lead up to his debut mixtape, True Story. This whole tape would be pretty spectacular. I didn't mention this before, but Cho's voice almost reminds me of a little bit of a less mumbled Future type voice, though Hunxho does have way more lyrically and flow-wise than Future does in my humble opinion. He just doesn't pick his greatest beats. This first tape would not tip him over into any type of notoriety at the time, other than growing a little tiny bit of buzz on SoundCloud. In fact, his big breakthrough moment wouldn't come until the year 2020, which also happens to coincide with the RICO indictment that Cho would very narrowly dodge. In the early year of 2020, the feds and Georgia PD would attempt to RICO roundup of Sex Money Murder set that Hunxho happened to be a member of. While I don't know how Hunxho managed to slip out of it, seemingly he did so while still having pending charges, as he'd be monitored from there on out. Shortly after this debacle with the law, Hunxho would go on to release his breakout album, at least the album that gave him local buzz in Atlanta, that being the July 31st, 2020's Street Poet. Most of the songs on this album are sitting at over 100,000 views, some even surpassing 1 million views and getting a wild 3.1 million views, that song specifically being the track Gunsmoke. In this one song, Hunxho does what most other artists coming out of Atlanta can't, as he lets his viewers into his psyche and really vents in his music, the track Gunsmoke just being a perfect example of this, as he's really speaking in third person about his own situation. Going back a tiny bit, the first music video that Hunxho would ever put out would wind up being the August 21st, 2020 track, Hear Me Out, which would be a very downbeat, very somber type track that would only serve to get 72,000 views. 2021 would be the year that Hunxho would put his music career into overdrive, as he'd post track after track after track, slowly building up his viewer base. The first time a music video of his would break 1 million views would be on June 17th, 2021 track NBTG, which would happen to be a downbeat but happy kind of flexing track speaking on drill shit and life shit as he usually be doing. Following this track, Hunxho would go on to post 7 tracks back to back, 2 of which not even being of him, one being his one-time friend, then op, then friend again, then op, blow, and then the artist Cap Flap, who I'ma be real, I have no idea who it is. Hunxho putting Blow's track on his own YouTube channel is a huge cosign, as at the time, Hunxho was going up in a big way. It's great to see up-and-coming artists with similar styles link up, even though Backdoor Season would wind up ruining it. All of this would wind up leading me to the track that personally put me on to Hunxho as an artist, that being the track Let's Get It. This song was played everywhere in Georgia for damn near the whole winter and part of the spring. You damn near couldn't even escape it. Even though this video is only sitting at 2.7 million views, radio stations would go on to play the fuck out of it. This song would even later get a 21 Savage feature and cosign. Since they are both Blood members and both from Eastside Atlanta, it made it easy for the city to take Hunxho in pretty smoothly after it. Now I'd be flawed as fuck if I didn't mention that around the same time, Hunxho allegedly would get a 17-year-old girl pregnant. But there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that she was lying about her age in an attempt to trap him, so it seems like it was another Lil Rez type situation. To be clear, I don't think Hunxho was a weirdo foul motherfucker. Personally, I think he was just tricked, but I'll let y'all decide that on y'all's own and look into the evidence and shit. Skipping over some of his albums like Street Poetry, Almighty Hunxho, and some others, Hunxho would seemingly be relegated to getting around 500,000 views a song on average, most of the time landing around 300,000 to 200,000. While this is still pretty good, it would lead Hunxho to getting a massive spike in viewership down the line because of his consistency. On June 10th, 2022, the album Chosen would drop and my car speakers would drop along with them, as well as the rest of the city of Atlanta, as songs like 1, 2, 3 are still in my current playlist to this day. This album is so fucking good, bro. This album would also have tracks like Where I'm Going, which would reach 3.1 million views when the video would go on to drop. And from this point on, Hunxho would gain million views after million views, casually, no effort. Prime examples of this being tracks like Freestyle, 22, Fool Me Once, and Holy Water Live Performance. Each of these tracks getting 4.3 million views, 1.4 million views, 2.1 million views, and 3.9 million views, respectively. Each of these was all pale in comparison to his very next music video, however, as it was sent it blasting into the stratosphere and into the mainstream conversation. In the new year of 2023, specifically on January 3rd, Hunxho would go on to put out the track Highly Performing, which as luck would have it, would highly perform. It's sitting at a strong 17 million views as of right now today. This track would have a very sad but hopeful overtones, with Cho rapping about both loss and the fact that he's growing up in a big way, leading to a very melancholic feel that motherfuckers around this time loved, and still love to this day. From here on in, arguably Hunxho would go full mainstream mode, diving face first into making love type albums. Example of this being his October 2023 album, For Her, with tracks that range from getting 12 million views and 29 million views. Those tracks being Brainstorming by Tomorrow. Bro had officially made it into superstardom. Given that I'm a drill fan, I personally found myself drifting away from his music until the release of his 2024 album, Thank God. This album takes a lot more introspective and religious look at his life and past deeds, while at the same time having some moments of drill talk and love talk sprinkled in. This album to me is one of the better projects in my humble opinion, due to its substance and how it sounds. As for this current year, 2025, Hunxho will go on to drop the For Us album, which seems to be following the same pattern as past tapes, yet it seems to be more drill influenced than anything else. All the videos off this album seem to sit around 1 million views. Instinct, The Cabin, and Bed Rest getting 1.2 million views, 1 million views, and 1.5 million views respectively. This all leading us to the latest track that Hunxho would put out, that happening to be a straight love track titled Intimate Relationship. This song would drop on September 5th, 2025, and shit almost reached like a downbeat Please Don't Leave Me type track, and mainstream motherfuckers eat that shit up. This track would get a nice 956,000 views in the span of 10 days, and seemingly is still gaining viewership. My number will probably be wrong by the time this video drops, that's how high it's gaining. As for Hunxho's life outside of music, it seems as if bro got himself back into trouble with the law, as he'd end up in a police chase that would wind up fucking him over, seeing that he still has pending cases. Atlanta motherfuckers and freedom are antonyms. You cannot have both. Either they move out to A and keep their music shit going, or they keep getting the BS over and over and over. Seeing how well suited Hunxho's music style is for the general audience, I have every hope that bro will stay on top viewership wise for a few years to come, though arguably his shift into a more mainstream sound could at some point stagnate his following. He shouldn't have to worry about that for a while though, and with the money he should definitely be generating off of streaming numbers, bro is gonna be set for life either fucking way. Hunxho is the perfect example of hard work and dedication and a little cash flow, pushing someone to the top without needing to overdo shit on the beef side. Just stay to what you love and keep consistent with what you do and motherfuckers will follow. My channel is living proof. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment who y'all trying to see next, and subscribe with the bell to be notified of all my future uploads. At 2,000 subs, I'm gonna be doing a live stream Q&A. I'll announce the concrete date when we reach the goal. Next week will most likely be a video on Lil Tim out of Atlanta, not Savannah. Then most likely Harryock, Thugga D, or another out of my many suggestions y'all put. As always, I appreciate y'all's support, and with all that out of the way, peace out, chill out.
Fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part.
Huh?